Hi, thank you for joining me. I thought it would be a lot of fun to make a couple different types of cake, and since Halloween is just around the corner, make them look like pumpkins. Now, you probably know from watching some of my other videos that I'm really into collecting Bundt pans. And I do have this one here. It's from Williams-Sonoma, and as you can see, it makes two halves of a pumpkin, and one has a bottom and then one has the little top, the little stem thing. So we'll make one in here, but if you don't have this pan, there's another way to easily make a pumpkin shaped cake. It takes a little bit more cake mix, but you certainly can do it using just a regular old Bundt pan. It doesn't have to look exactly like this, it just has to have this rounded kind of bottom. Some are shorter, some are a little differently shaped, but anything like this works because we're going to make two cakes actually, put them together, and then I use just a little cupcake muffin tin to be the stem for this. So the cakes that we'll be making are going to be a double chocolate rum cake, and then the other one is a melted ice cream cake. This is so easy. It has 3 ingredients. It's eggs, white cake mix, and then the melted ice cream of your choice. Now, since with this big pumpkin we have to make 2 cakes, I thought it'd be fun to make one cake with one flavor. This is butter pecan, and this one is caramel cone. So then I can see which one tastes better, because I haven't made melted ice cream cake in a long time, but I didn't want this to take forever, and I thought making one of these with the 3 simple items is easy. So yeah, all you have is ice cream, eggs, and your cake mix, and that's it. I think what we'll do is go ahead and make the ice cream cake first, because that is quicker and easier, and get that one in the oven, and then we'll put together the double chocolate rum cake. So let's get started. So the first thing I did was I went ahead and I preheated the oven at 350 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and prepare my pan, and what I like to do is use the pan that has the flour in it. So I just think it makes the cakes all release far better than if you just use plain pan, and it's way easier than greasing like with Crisco or something and then flouring, or spraying with pan and flouring. So just go ahead and use this. Make sure to get all of the areas so you don't have your cake sticking. All right, so that's all done. And now, so easy, we're going to throw our white cake mix in here. We are going to add 3 eggs, 2, 3, and then we're going to add our melted ice cream. And this is the butter pecan, and I just let it melt in my refrigerator during the day today, so it'll be all set for doing this tonight. All right, then we're gonna mix it. That's it. And I'm going to let it mix for 1 minute, and then I'm going to scrape down the sides, and then I'll mix again for another minute or so, and then we're going to bake it. Okay, let me just scrape the sides down. It's looking very nice and fluffy. See an idea, so it's just looking, I don't know if you can see that super well. We'll just give this another little spin for a minute or so. Okay, it's all done. That was it. That's all there is to make the cake. And the nice thing is that the cream, that's in the ice cream is what adds the fat. So that's why you're not having to add oil or butter or other things like that. This already has, the butter pecan flavor in it. So, we have that in there to help give it some flavor. So that's why it's so easy. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and put this into my pan, and then we will bake it. And then while it's baking, we'll start making the other cake, the smaller cake. And then while that one's baking, we'll make the other half of this cake. So we'll have a little assembly line going. My neighbors are going to be very happy because I don't really have an occasion for this cake right now. Or maybe my daughter could take some to school for her friends or something tomorrow. But we are going to have a boatload of cake. So this is what the cake looks like. It's rather thick. The reason that I used Haagen-Dazs for this, you don't have to, you can use any brand, but you want 2 cups. And I know that you can get exactly 2 cups out of a Haagen-Dazs higher end ice cream. A pint will equal 2 cups. Some of the other brands, because they have more air in them, it might not translate exactly like that, and I didn't want to be messing around right now with measuring ice cream and stuff. So that's why I did that. But I've made this before and just used, Safeway brand or Breyers or, Dryers, whatever. It probably makes the cake taste better not to use like a really low fat type of an ice cream, but I'm sure it would still work. It just might not be quite as moist. So I'm gonna go pop this into the oven now. Now we'll make the double chocolate rum cake. I'm going to start by putting 1 package of double scoop cake mix and a package, it's a small package of instant chocolate pudding. We'll add 4 eggs. 2, 3, 4, our water, the all-important rum, and it's a dark rum. You don't want to use a white rum. And a half cup of vegetable oil. And I'm going to go ahead and mix this up before I add my cup of chocolate chips. So we'll just go ahead and mix this for a minute. So you can use any sort of a mixer, a hand mixer, a stand mixer, whatever you have. I just use this because I have it and it's easier and it goes a bit faster. So now I'm going to do the all-important scraping down of the sides. You just want to make sure you don't have a bunch of dry ingredients that have gotten stuck somewhere and you don't have the even consistency to your cake here. You want it all to get distributed nicely. And also a little hint, you've probably heard me say it before, if you have time to take your eggs out ahead of time so they're room temperature, it will make your cake fluffier. So let's just mix this again for a couple more minutes. I'm going to add my chocolate chips now. This is a very generous cup of chocolate chips. You can never have too much chocolate, right? Just let this combine. It's probably good. And now we'll go ahead and prepare our pan. Again, I'm using the pan with the flour. I'll just coat that nice and evenly. I find little short sprays work easier when I do this. I want to make sure to get into that stem hole too. Don't want to get that stuck. Okay, now we'll go ahead and we will put half of it on one side and half on the other side. I think this is probably the most difficult part, trying to do this evenly. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. And eyeball it. And again, you can make any kind of cake in these pans. And, keep an eye out. These go on sale. They sell these for, I don't remember, but usually like close to $30, these pans. But if you keep an eye out, and if you're looking in spring, maybe you'll find a harvesty Halloween one for half off or more. And sometimes I found you can get an even better deal in the store, because sometimes they just go on total clearance. They just want to get them out of there. And I've gotten some for probably almost 75% off. Doesn't happen often, but every few years I'll pick one up. But the nice thing is you don't actually need one of these pans to make a pumpkin cake. You're just going to have a very large pumpkin cake, which is not bad. You probably need one around Halloween for all the people who probably come by and visit, and it's that great time of year to bring treats. Now this cake, it's not super rummy tasting, it just has a hint of rum flavor to it. So it's not a super alcoholic tasting cake. Okay, now I'm going to go put this in the oven. Now let's make our other half of the pumpkin cake. So again, my white cake mix. This is the caramel cone ice cream. This is 2 cups of ice cream. Make sure we get all that delicious goodness in there. And our 3 eggs. Is this not like the simplest, whoa, cake in the world? Last egg. That's it. Was that even a minute? Was that like 45 seconds? Totally awesome. Now we'll just mix it up again. Now I'll scrape down the sides. Can't wait to taste the difference between these two. I wonder how noticeable it'll be. I tried to get things that would kind of complement each other, and I didn't want to add a lot of chocolate because I'm making the other cake be chocolate. So, okay, so that's all done. Now I am going to steal a little bit of this batter to make our stem. I sprayed one of these little muffin tin holes, I don't know what you'd call that. Anyhow, with the pan already, and I'm going to just take a little bit of this and put it in there, and it's just going to be a smidge, so it won't even barely be noticeable. And you know, putting the two halves together, and it's really not going to make a difference. So let me go ahead and grab a spoon to do that with. Use this here. Just need enough to make one little muffin. Now, if you're ever making muffins and you have a, couple holes that are empty, you've ran out of the batter or whatever, what you're supposed to do, if you don't already know this is for people who are newbies, let's say I didn't have enough batter for these 2 or 3. You're supposed to put a few tablespoons of water in each. I guess it's better for the pan, and then it also adds some nice moisture to the oven and helps your muffins be more moist. So just a little hint there. So I'll bake this as I'm baking the other half of this cake. All right, so our first half of our large pumpkin cake is done. So I'm going to set this down. So in about 10 minutes, we'll go ahead and we'll put this onto a plate so it can continue to cool, and I can use the cake pan again for the other half of the cake. So now I'm going to just carefully go ahead and pull the sides of the cake away from the Bundt pan, and that way I'll know nothing's going to stick when I'm trying to get it out. I mean, it should be pretty slippery and slide out. I'm using a plastic knife because I don't want to scratch up the finish, because the more you do that over time, the harder it is to get the cakes out. So I'll go ahead and put my plate on top, grab my little holders here, and flip it, and I felt it slide out, so it should be all good. And there's the first half of our pumpkin. I'm going to go ahead and spray this pan now. Get that all nice and coated. And I'll put the cake batter in. Go ahead and bake it. And the nice thing about this cake when you're done, you can totally get fancy and frost it like with a fondant, or you can, just frost it with regular frosting, or you can just sprinkle it with powdered sugar. It looks really cute either way. If you want to frost it, you can have a lot of fun and add eyes and leaves and all that kind of thing if you're feeling fancy. But, when you're making a cake that's not just plain out of the box, it has more flavor. You don't need to. It's still going to taste good without putting all that on top of it. So if you're in a rush, that's the great thing. You don't need to decorate it to death. It's super fun to do, of course. I'm not going to do that now, actually, but there's probably a zillion other YouTube videos that will show you how to cake decorate. I'm decent at it. I took like one class once at a community center, so I guess I know enough to be dangerous, but tonight I'm just going to probably sprinkle it with powdered sugar at the end, and then it'll be kind of nice because you'll be able to see the 2 different ones and what they look like done simply. So let me get this in the oven. Here is the Williams-Sonoma little pumpkin cake out of the oven. So I'll just let this cool for a while, and then we're going to go ahead and trim it so it fits together nicely and put it together. The other half is ready, and now I have to grab our little cupcake out that will be our stem. And it doesn't matter that it kind of got flat like this because we're just going to sculpt that off. So we'll just let all this cool, and then we will put our cakes together. Okay, so I'm going to start assembling my pumpkin cakes. So I've just set this one here on a cake stand that I've got, and I'm just going to trim this so that it's really flat, because it'll just make the whole thing look better if it's kind of evenly lined up. Now, you can stick this together with frosting if you want, or, with this particular cake, it's sitting straight on top. You don't really need to. I do have a Santa Claus Bundt cake pan where it's 2 halves of Santa and like 2 halves of a Horn of Plenty, or some, things like that. Those you need to use frosting to stick it together, because those have to sit up. And they just go sliding off. So I will go ahead and take my scraps off of here. And I've got a nice foundation for the other side of the cake. And I'll go ahead and take the cake out of here now, but I lost my plate to put that on. Okay, got myself another plate here. So again, I'm just going to loosen up the sides here. Make sure that the middle, you know, it hasn't gotten too stuck. And then I'll flip this puppy over. Out comes the cake. Whoops. All right. And this one, as you can see, has the pieces of chocolate. This is the caramel cone ice cream. And I'm going to turn him over and slice his top off to make him even also. So just again, big knife. I also was told at that one cake decorating class I took that you can use non-minty dental floss and just cut through it. But I'm just going to use a knife because all of our dental floss is minty, and I don't know, I feel like I might be off doing it that way. All right. Looks like a giant donut. I wonder which one of these will taste better. I was just so tempted. There was like peanut butter flavored ice cream, and there was, you know, I heard Cherry Garcia is really good, but I was trying to stick with something a little bit more rich and, you know, Halloweenish, and somehow butter pecan and caramel cone sounded more like it. So now I just have to line up my little ridges for Mr. Pumpkin. And there we go. Now in retrospect, if I wanted this to look really perfect, I probably should have used the same type of cake on both sides so that it would puff up evenly and all that. In that case, I would have just done probably both cake mixes in one, you know, in one mixer load and then split it so it would be really even. But, you know, I figured I wanted to try to mix it up and try and see what tasted better. And then we have our little stem, and I'm going to just carve this out a little bit because he got a little bit too fat on the top. Okay, this kind of sets inside. Let me just do this. I forgot. This Bundt pan is different than the one I used last time. I did this and the hole is a lot bigger. So I'm just going to shove some of the extra cake I have down here, and then that can hold up my stem. So there we go. Isn't that cute? Bring this up for you to look at. And I will go ahead and put my, you know what I think though? I wonder if this would be better flipped over, because I think that this side is wider, and usually you would have the wider part of the cake. I don't know, I just think that would look nicer. There we go. See? Just improvise. Put that piece back. Put Mr. Cupcake in. There we go. What do you think? That looks better, don't you think? Now I will go ahead and take this one out, and we'll powdered sugar this in a minute so you can see how it totally looks done. So this was our Williams-Sonoma cake pan, and I already did go around this with a knife, so I'm going to just flip it over. There they are. Okay, whoa, two little pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully trim these guys so that we have a nice flat surface. By the way, I just do this for fun. I am not a professional chef or trained or anything. I just like to bake. I like to cook too, but I like to bake even better. Go. So don't look at my technique for any of this type of thing as, you know, being excellent. I really want to take a knife class. I just have to go and find one and take it. Because I think that would make my life a lot easier. Although I've always got my food processor, I guess. Scout, my dog, is sitting here just dying for me to drop something. We'll put our little chocolate cake guy here. And let's try to line this up. And there he is. Super cute. It's like the big daddy and the baby. Now we'll just go ahead and sprinkle them with some powdered sugar because I'm not going to frost them. Also, you lose a lot of the ridges of the pumpkin when you frost it, so just keep that in mind. It'll look more like just a big round pumpkin, which is fine and very cute too. But I like the look of this one too, so I'm gonna really get some on here. The Great Pumpkin. Now for little Mr. Pumpkin, Mr. Chocolate Pumpkin. I'm just going to take a damp paper towel and wipe around here. So with a nice clean plate. All that extra powdered sugar off. The other thing you can do is you can tear little pieces of wax paper and put them around and then just remove them. That's another idea, and I've done that before too, but I didn't feel like dragging out the parchment right now. So gotta make sure presentation is nice. And you know, this would be really cute if you put maybe some fall leaves around it. If you're just trying to do something for Thanksgiving or just to look more autumnish. Because pumpkins are kind of for the whole season, right? Not just Halloween. Or you can put scary stuff. You put spiders around it, or plastic spiders, of course. No real ones. And here we are, all done. Little pumpkin and big pumpkin. So hopefully this is something that you'll enjoy. And even if you don't want to make a pumpkin cake, the recipes are really good. I've got other cooking videos too if you want to go ahead and check out my playlist that has food and cooking subscription on there. I've got different kinds of cakes, pancakes, and some other things like that that maybe you'll enjoy. And if you've been enjoying the videos, please do go ahead and subscribe so you will find out when other ones come out. You get a little email saying that I put out a new video if you subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day or evening wherever you are.